Epiphone, Ibanez Stratocaster around the £330 range, a semi-acoustic here. Going right up to these Fenders and 3 more Gibsons at the top. You probably recognise the Flying V. So the most expensive one, which is £1,200, that's the Gibson at the top. Now, the thing about new technology, and synthesizers in particular, is that they're great toys, but nobody ever seems to get too emotionally attached to them. So we've decided to invite along 3 eminent guitar technicians today to have a look at all the range of possibilities and different sounds you can get from this one single instrument.
Well, we begin appropriately enough with Richard Thompson, who's here got his much prized Fender Stratocaster, which is a classic rock and roll instrument. How old is this one, Richard?
This is almost 30 years old.
And how long have you had it?
About 15.
Now, it might seem rather rude of me, but if you look at it closely, it does rather look 30 years old. A lot of people would think, why doesn't he buy a new one?
Yes, I think that's very rude of you to say that. But, I don't think the new ones are really as well made. They don't sound as good. I don't know why not. There's no reason, really, you know.
But so a guitar like that will appreciate in value, probably, will it?
I should think it would, yeah. It wouldn't go down.
How much do you modify something like that? Or do you just buy it off the peg and then leave it as it is?
Yeah, this is fairly stock. It's got one very small modification, which is a trade secret, but that's all.
But I believe the neck is actually older than the body, is that correct?
For some reason, yeah, the neck is 55 and the body's 57.
But you don't know why?
No.
Now, this is a classic instrument that's been played by lots of very famous guitarists of all different kinds, from Buddy Holly. Did Eric Clapton play one of these things?
Eric Clapton plays one at the moment, yeah. Peter Green used to play one. Mark Knopfler, Jimi Hendrix.
Now, that's a wide range of people who all get very much different sounds out of it.
Yeah, it's fairly versatile. It's a basically wiry sounding instrument. It sounds like a bunch of wires strapped on a piece of wood. Yeah, which is what it is.
Demonstrate.
So it sounds like what it is. Well, Hollywood sound. Something like that.
Can you do a Mark Knopfler?
I'll do a Mark Knopfler. Well, forgive me, Mark. I don't know.
Now, there's an enormous gulf between that kind of sound and something like Jimi Hendrix, extraordinary big noise.
Yeah, well, Hendrix was using one of these through 600 watts of very...
So the sheer volume.
Yeah, the volume. Yeah, the basic tone was just about a very hollow sort of sound.
So it's a versatile thing where you can get different sounds purely by the way you play it, by the way you handle it.
It's versatile. This is one of 2 schools of guitar. You know, you've got the double pickup guitar and the single pickup guitar, and this is very representative of the single pickup sound, very thin and wide.
Okay.
Well, over here we have David Lynn Lee, who's a very well-respected session musician. You played with Jackson Browne, Ry Cooder, various others. How many guitars have you got at home? You've got a fairly big collection, haven't you?
57.
Yeah, and are they mostly acoustic or electric?
They're both acoustic and electric.
Now, this machine here is one of the few guitars, in fact, we have that represents a really new change of technology. What's different about this?
The peg head.
Yeah, you've been through a very narrow door or something with this.
Yeah, it actually... there's a lot of research went into this to make it no dead spots on the neck. That's actually the reason for this.
One of the advantages is the guitar never goes out of tune, doesn't it, apparently?
Once
the strings are stretched,
yeah, you can put it in the case and ship it to Los Angeles and it will still be in tune.
Yeah. What about the material it's made of? It's made of something other than wood.
Yeah, the neck is made of graphite epoxy fiber, and it goes through the body. This is Brazilian rosewood. On the top, and the back is walnut.
Does that affect the way it sounds then?
Yeah, everything affects the way electric guitars sound.
What different sounds can you actually get from them?
Well, I've found a sound that sounds like my favorite terrible guitar. This can also sound wonderful and huge, but I messed around with it and I got
Let's hear that. What about a thin sound? You can get
a thin, yeah, you can get a thin.
Right at the other end of the scale.
This is a pretty.
I'm standing here surrounded by Midge Ure's latest purchase. Midge, how long have you had this?
2 days now. 40
So you barely got it out the box.
Yeah.
And it's a guitar synthesizer. Now, explain. That looks to me like a regular guitar. It's not.
It is in a sense. It is a basic guitar with the 3 pickups. It has got a special pickup here and special multi-core connections.
So you could adapt a normal guitar.
Yes, you
by
can do.
putting
You
a
don't
special
have to go
pickup?
out and buy a new
Now,
guitar.
down on the floor, that is the synthesizer itself.
That's it, yes.
And a
This
load
is-
of
This is the
pedals.
toy.
Now, why do you have a keyboard here as well?
Well, it has that we've now established in the synthesizer world connection, a MIDI interface, which means that you can connect one synthesizer to another. Well, this has a MIDI interface.
But you
which
don't need this one.
You don't
here
have
play.
to have this, but it
All
does
right.
help.
Well, let's hear it. Now, what happens when you play it just normally?
It's a
without doing
fairly
anything weird?
normal, basic guitar. You can...
So now what happens when we go through the synthesizer?
Something good, I hope. You end up with a string section. Hold on, just move your hands, and then reconnect the guitar again, bring in the guitar and play over it.
So you could sound like 3 or 4 guitars at once there, really.
Yes, you can do. Yes,
So what
you
other
can.
sounds can you do?
It has 64 memories on it, so you can actually pre-program your own sounds. You don't have to use the basic sounds that are in it. You end up... Then you can bring in sounds on the synthesizer itself, like mix the sounds together and get very sort of Japanese, Chinese type things. Doorbell.
That's extraordinary. What are you planning to actually use it for? You're going to use it. You're going on tour in May, aren't you? Is that going to be unveiled?
I think I'd have to spend many a long hour in a studio sitting working with the thing before I take it out on stage. There's a lot it can do. There's a few things it can't do, and I wouldn't like to go out there and do all the mistakes.
But meanwhile, it's a marvellous toy, isn't it?
It's a fabulous toy, yeah.
Thanks very much, Midge Ure, and also thank you to Richard Thompson and David Lindley. You'll be able to see Richard and David along with Juan Martin and Rory Gallagher tomorrow night at London's Dominion Theatre. Meanwhile, we were talking about Stratocasters earlier. Well, here's a bloke who can make a Stratocaster do just about anything except go out and fill in a Pools coupon. This is Jimi Hendrix.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you. I'd like to go into one of those other things, do a thing dedicated to that little girl over there called Hartley. Thing called Foxy Lady. Look out.
It's the Jimi Hendrix Experience from 1969 with Billy Cox on bass and Mitch Mitchell on drums, looking a bit of a state, I thought, actually. But